Hi Stampers, it's Rachel here from rachthestamper.wordpress.com, and today I wanted to show you how to make a really pretty card using the From Land to Sea and By the Tide stamp sets. So By the Tide is retiring, From Land to Sea is not, so you can still get both of these sets I believe through May 25th. They may still have them after that, but it'll be very, very limited. But From Land to Sea is going into the new catalog, so that's a sure thing no matter what. So what I wanted to do today was to show you a card that I was kind of thinking would be like an aquarium style card. So with a lot of things underneath of it, but with also some raised images as well. So we're going to be using a piece of Marina Mist, and this is cut at 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, and then a piece of Whisper White, which is 5 1/4 by 4. So I did go ahead and stamp some of these ahead of time because it would have taken a long time. This video is, usually my videos are long enough as it is, so I didn't want to torture anyone. But I also came up with a couple good ideas in case you don't necessarily have some of the things that I have. So what I did was I did the lobster, and I did him in Always Artichoke and Pacific Point, and I did all these on watercolor paper, and then I used the aqua painter for them. So I did the lobster in Always Artichoke and Pacific Point. I did a couple of fish, and I'm going to show you. So one fish I did in crushed curry, a little bit of Wild Wasabi, and a little bit of Pacific Point. The other fish I did in Always Artichoke and, wow, what did I use for that? Crumb Cake. And then I put just a tiny bit of Pacific Point in there. The turtle I did with Crumb Cake and Always Artichoke, and I did 2 of those. And then I did 3 seahorses, and these I did with a little bit of Pink Pirouette kind of all over. You can see it a little better here. And then I filled it in with Crumb Cake. Now, the other reason why I wanted to show you that I did a lot of these ahead of time is because I came up with a couple of really good ideas because I'm not sure if you do or don't have this anymore, but Crystal Effects is gone. So if you didn't already get it, you can't get it anymore. It's completely gone. So if you have Crystal Effects, you can put Crystal Effects, which is what I did, onto the seahorse, and then you have to let it dry. It does take a while to dry. If you don't have Crystal Effects, the other thing you could do is I actually stamped my fish here with Versamark ink, and then I used clear embossing powder, and I poured it on, heated it up, and it gave a really shiny image. Now, if you don't have that, the other alternative, what you could use is Wink of Stella. So I figured I'd save this so I could actually show it to you. So you could use Wink of Stella. We'll do that on one of these turtles. And you just shake your brush up and just make sure it's flowing. And you can just go over top, and it gives a nice glittery sheen to your image. And it kind of gives just a little bit more depth to what it is that you're doing. Or if you don't like glitter or shiny, you don't have to make anything glitter or shiny. That's also completely up to you. But I also cut most of these out ahead of time because, as you can see, it is quite detailed cutting. So you definitely need a good pair of snips to be able to do this. When I cut my lobster, I actually cut through both of these because when they're laying flat, they kind of line up and you can't really see it. The lobster is the most painstaking one, but I think it really gives the most oomph when you see the card. All right, and I should say see the card because I haven't even seen the card. I haven't even made it yet, so we're doing this together. I'm just going to add a little bit to him. Okay, so what we're going to do, and then the other things, I had done these a while ago. I'm not going to use the swordfish because then it kind of would have to be above the water, so I'm going to put him on the side. But the other thing is we're actually going to use the jellyfish, but we're going to stamp the jellyfish into the card, and we're also going to use the coral, so we're going to stamp that into the card as well. So I'm going to put him on the side too. So I'm going to just move all my things over for now, and let me grab another piece of scrap. What we're going to do is we're going to use Pool Party, Tempting Turquoise, and Bermuda Bay. And this is going to be your choice of how you want to make this card. So you can either do it with sponges, you could do it with my favorite, the brayer, but I figured I would give you all a break from the brayer because it's probably getting on your nerves. And so you could use sponges or you could use daubers, or if you're feeling fancy, you could use the brayer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just dip my sponge into the Pool Party first and kind of just go over the whole card. Because this is going to be, I originally thought of doing this as a fish tank kind of card, which would be a really good idea too, but since I don't have the thinlits to cut it out, and I don't have my Stampin' Up Stampin Trimmer yet, I didn't want to have to demonstrate something for you how to do it kind of like a crazy way. So we'll use that first, and I'm going to go in just a little bit with the dauber just to get a couple of spots of a little bit more concentrated color. Doesn't have to be anywhere specific, but so again, we started with the pool party. Now we're going to move on to Pacific Point. We'll make this a little bit more kind of dark on one side and a little bit more at the bottom. Alright, and then finally we'll use some Bermuda Bay, and I'm going to put this on the opposite side. And more down at the bottom. Just a tiny bit in the middle. Just to give that little bit of depth. So the other thing that's going to be up to you is your coral color, because if you've been scuba diving or anything, that you know they do have many different colors of coral. So you could certainly do this in you could do it in Calypso coral if you wanted to. I'm going to do mine, just thinking of it now, I'm going to do it in Soft Suede. So I'm going to stamp, you know what I'm going to stamp first though? I'm going to stamp the jellyfish, and I'm going to do that in the Tempting Turquoise. So let me stamp the jelly first. Make sure he's nice and inked up. Just put him over here somewhere. And I'm going to just do one more kind of off down here at the bottom. Okay, so we're going to do him. And now we're going to do, so now we'll do our coral in Soft Suede. Kind of gives a lot of different layers to the card. One more over here. Do one just a teeny bit up here. Okay, so let me get that out of the way. All right, so pretty much now all we're going to do is assemble a card. So I'm going to, let me get this out of the way. Again, this is a piece of Marina Mist, so I'm going to just put some adhesive. I'm going to put it on here since that's still a little bit wet. I'm going to lay this down. And the other thing you can do too, if you're in a rush, or sometimes I don't make cards till the last minute, is you can hit this with your heat gun, just so you don't smear anything. Okay, so now we're going to assemble our little fish guys. So I'm going to use some dimensionals on some of these, and then some of them I'm going to just adhere directly to. So I'm going to put the fish that has, this is the fish with the Versamark and the clear embossing powder. I'm going to just stick him directly down. So he'll go over here. And then I think the sea turtle, I'm going to pop up the sea turtle. Now this is the sea turtle that I did with the Wink of Stella. Let me just trim one of these. Put one on his fin back here. Okay, so I'm going to pop the sea turtle up on dimensionals. And what I might do is I might actually put another sea turtle behind him. Nah, just one's good. So we'll put a sea turtle going this way and through the bottom. So that is Wink of Stella on him. And then the seahorse has the crystal effects on it. So I'm going to put him directly down as well. So again, I did stamp all of these in Stays On ink, because it's easier for watercoloring purposes. So all these cards are on watercolor, all these cutouts, I should say, are on watercolor paper, and I stamped them with Stays On. And then the only other thing I have left is my little lobster here. So I'm going to just make sure all his pieces stay down. I'm going to just curl him just a little bit, very gently with the bone folder, just to get him to face kind of more downward direction. And I'm going to put him up on a dimensional on his body, and everything else will just happen to fall wherever it falls. Let me cut one more in half. I'm going to put one on each of his claws. Alright, and there you have it. So this is going to be for a little cousin's birthday that's coming up this weekend. So I thought this would be really cute since it's getting to be summer, beach season, and all that kind of cool stuff. We'll put him over here. So you could certainly put more fish on here. You could put more turtles. You could put less of something if you prefer one or the other. But I thought it was kind of nice, and you don't necessarily have to have a greeting on here, but if you wanted to, you could just put a little happy birthday with the punch out tag underneath. This card isn't going to be mailed, which is, you could see this guy hanging off the end here. He's not going to be mailed, so it's not going to be a problem for me. He's going to be hand delivered. However, if you do mail it, you could also put a piece of cardstock on top just so it doesn't rip it, and you probably would want to redirect your little lobster antenna here so it's not actually hanging off of it. But I thought it was a really cool idea. A lot of different stuff. Also with two of the sets, or one of the sets that's going away and one of the sets that's going to stay. Again, that was the From Land to Sea and By the Tide. Going, staying, thank goodness. And there's another really cool one coming out soon in the new catalog. But anyway, I hope that's given you guys a little bit of inspiration. And I can see this video went long, even with me not having to cut out all these things. So I'm kind of glad. The only other thing I want to show you really quickly, and I just thought of this. If you do have crystal effects, the only other thing you could do if you'd like to, is you can make little bubbles. You do need to let these dry. You could make bubbles really anywhere. You know, there's lots of bubbles in the ocean. So you make just little circles and just let it dry. I'm sure you probably could do this with something else, but I don't really know how. I guess because I haven't really experimented with it yet, because I love these crystal effects so much. So I'm gonna have to play around and see what else I can figure out. But that'll kind of give it that underwater sheen once this dries. You do have to let the crystal effects dry. It will become completely clear once it dries. So it is definitely a very cool product to use if you still have it. So hope you guys learned something from this today. If you have any comments, please leave them on my blog. You can see me at rachthestamper.wordpress.com. If you'd like to get all these products and more, you could go to my online store, which is rachthestamper.stampinup.net. Or if you want to reach me the old-fashioned way, you can shoot me an email. That's old-fashioned because I don't give out my mailing address. And that is rachthestamper@gmail.com. I hope you have a great day, and I hope it stops raining here soon so we can get out and have some sunshine. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. Take care.